3,000 years, man has searched for the lost Ark of the Covenant.
The Bible speaks of the Ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions. Not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets.
Jones, do you realize what the Ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God.
An army which carries the Ark before it is invincible.
The Ark, if it is their Eternus, then it is something that man was not meant to disturb.
It is protected by forces beyond imagination. It is desired above all treasures on earth by those who are good,
Trust me.
and those who are evil.
I'll tell you everything.
Yes, I know you will.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Let her go.
We have no time. If you still want the Ark, it has been loaded onto a truck for Cairo.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. A film from Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
This whole project started about 10 years ago. It was actually about the same time that I came up with the idea for Star Wars.
About May of 1977, George Lucas and I were in Hawaii, and we were sitting on the beach building a sandcastle. And George began talking about a movie serial he wanted to write and produce called Raiders of the Lost Ark, about the adventures of a soldier of fortune, Indiana Jones, caught up in a spectacular supernatural treasure hunt. The movie essentially is going to be very kinetic and very prismatic, filled with inserts and reactions and head turns, and it's a fast-paced, fast-action picture.
It's a throwback to an older kind of film. It's a high adventure, vaguely in the mode of the old Saturday morning serials. You sit back and you say, why can't they make movies like this anymore?
Watch your propellers, please.
And action. I'm really doing it more than anything else so that I can enjoy it. Because I just want to see this movie.
Now can I start the run of the fire?
Trigger!
And they bring the Ark to the top of this naturally made box canyon, And of course, all they expect to find inside the Ark is the Ten Commandments, the Germans. None of us are expecting anything beyond the broken stone tablets. But it's said that the tablets were returned to God and that the Ark was destroyed in the Temple of Solomon. But our film, based on what George Lucas's beliefs are vis-a-vis the Ark, is that the Ark was in fact moved and not destroyed in the temple, and then discovered by you wonderful people.
It was always that when they opened the Ark, an event took place. We're dealing with a kind of special effect that we haven't used before, and we're trying to come up with a new look.
During the optical animation phase of this movie, there are going to be effects that will be much harder to achieve than the effects in close encounters. We're going to get Robert down here. We don't have enough snakes to make the scene work. We need about 7,000 snakes in addition to the 2,000 we have here to make it work.
This is a hopeless task.
Got right out of my soul. Thousands of them. Just get ready to shoot right away.
I'm never going to be able to hit my mark.
This is the guy who has to go.
This guy goes out of the set.
Oh, say goodbye.
This guy goes. No, he's fine though.
Let's reconsider this whole thing.
Harrison is in his big boots and his gloves and his pants and his leather clothes and stuff, and I had this little sort of thing and naked arms and anytime you put somebody in with snakes and skeletons and falling down cliffs and all that sort of thing, it's a whole other ballpark.
Look at my face. Just. Yes. Right. Okay, good. Every actor, as I say, needs a different director for each moment, and I think I have to be a different director for each actor, moment to moment.
Indiana Jones is an archaeologist. In his spare time, he's a grave robber.
Harrison, have you ever done anything like this? Dragging behind a car?
Dragging behind a car. Dragging behind a car.
All right, roll cameras!
No?
Put your head up just a little if you can, that's it.
It's just one more useless experience.
Okay.
I'm sure it's not dangerous. See, if it was dangerous, they would have waited till we got more of the movie done.
We scouted all over Tunisia. We'd been here before on Star Wars, so we knew a certain amount about it, but we hadn't been to any of the places like this.
So our first shot is going to be following our principals up and revealing the kid with the monkey. And so we'll eventually be on Dolly track, ending in this direction with the whole house and the city in the background.
The problem with the TV antennas is one that you get everywhere in the world now when you're shooting a period film. This movie is in 1936, and the town of Kairouan is covered in aerials, and they're all very high. So that was a major logistical problem to get all those aerials removed. I mean, logistics, they're myriad. There are so many facets to logistics in operating in a foreign country.
That's their finished position. Very still.
Okay, we're doing this if you like.
All right, we're on standby. We're going to shoot now, please. Get ready.
Action! It's a good symbolic get me out of Tunisia shot.
As we come to the end of it, I mean, I feel both relief that we've got through, and also sadness that it's over, because every movie you work on is an experience, it's a bubble in your life, it's a time capsule, and it's never ever going to come together the same way ever again. So it's an experience which is coming to an end, and I think there are few of us that don't feel a form of sadness at the end, as well as the relief that it is over and that it's hopefully gone well and that we've got a really great picture.
What happens when the Ark is opened defies description. It's beyond me to tell you right now. You'll have to see the movie.
Glad it's over. It's the toughest job I ever had.
Ready, camera?
All right, here we go. Harrison, you ready? Action. I really wanted to do a movie that was all action and all fun and very escapist, like movies I was raised on when I was a kid.
I just finished Star Wars and I was on the beach in Hawaii, and Steve came over to visit. He was telling me how he wanted to do an action-adventure film like James Bond films. And I said, that's just the thing for you. I happen to have one in my pocket. And I told him the story, and he said, that's great. I want to do that. I like that. And that's really where it all started.
The roots of Indiana Jones grew from George Lucas's imagination, but they really extend back even beyond that to a time when we were children, and those great Republic serials of the early 1950s were so popular in movie theaters everywhere. I think when you go out on a limb to either reintroduce an old genre or invent a new one, it's scary, because a film like Raiders is an animal unto itself, and there was nothing they ever had to compare it to. George and I were able to compare it to Tailspin Tommy and Spy Smasher and The Mark of Zorro and all the great serials of the late 40s and early 50s. In the old-time serials, the hero in jeopardy was left hanging for about a week. The audience, you see, would forget the details of his dilemma. So by the following Saturday, the outcome of his plight could be so easily cheated. And how often did I hope to cheat on something they wouldn't let me cheat on, because the movie was being told in one continuous 2-hour episode. It's hard, it's difficult, because I would constantly, with George Lucas and the writers, paint myself into corners. And that hurts sometimes, because you get into a corner and you see, how am I going to get out of this? And sometimes the best way to get out of a corner is to run so quickly through the wet paint that you hope people won't see your footprints leading off into the sunset.
This film, I've seen other clips from it, but I haven't seen the movie yet. Where did you run into danger and trouble on this one, if anything? You blew up things, you had a lot of stunts.
We blew up things, we had a lot of stunts, we had a lot of people involved, a lot of extras in Tunisia. We had over 600 extras working an archaeological dig, which in itself was hazardous because it was 135 degrees in the shade every day, and we were all suffering from all the things you suffer from when you're Lawrence and his army walking through the Sahara, and we were shooting on the tongue of the Sahara. It was the parched tongue of the Sahara. It was an awful experience in Tunisia, but I guess the scariest part of making the movie was the fact that it was a sequence where Harrison Ford and Karen Allen are thrown into a chamber with 7,000 live snakes.
Yes, I thought that was a press agent's invention when I read about that, but, and how did they decide on 7,000 and not 6,000 or 6,500?
Well, first we budgeted 2,000 snakes, but the problem was when you put the 2,000 live snakes on the floor, they all huddled into a corner, and it looked like just a little dust swept under the rug. Realized to cover the entire floor of the set, which was a very rather large set, we would need about 7,000 snakes.
Who has those available in the Yellow Pages? How do you get the...
It was the British Yellow Pages, and they came from all over the place. They came from Scandinavia, they came from France, they came from Germany. A lot of them were garter snakes, but a lot of the more deadly snakes, the cobras, we got from India, and we got the boa constrictors, I'm not sure from where, and the pythons came in.
Is there a snake wrangler?
We had many snake wranglers in the film. We had 4 of them. They were always being bitten by everything but cobras, of course, because that's deadly. But the pythons were going after everybody. And in the movie, when something bites and snaps and grabs hold of a character, that's a python. And those are real teeth, and that's a real actor going, "Why am I here, and why did I make this movie?"
Yes,
that's
you can
really
see,
happening. That's not fake.
You can see Karen in one scene, I think, that I saw. Maybe it was an outtake. It was, I mean, documentary style.
Yeah.
And she shrieks and looks down like something bit her on the leg. Did she get bitten at all? Or?
She wasn't bitten. She was terrified all through the movie because of the snake. She hated snakes, as did everybody else, most everybody else. And when she got involved in the movie, she couldn't scream loud enough because sometimes when you're terrified, you go to scream rather than the noise coming out. It's
yeah, that's right. A real scream.
It's a real. And nothing came out, so I thought I needed something to get some. So when she least expected it, I dropped a snake from the scaffold overhead, and it came around her neck, and she let out a scream that I was able to use in all through the movie. I made 11 copies of the scream and kept cutting it in. That's a good scream. That last scream, she'll never beat that one. And it was a terrible, cruel trick to play on her, but ever since then, she never looked up when she didn't see me around the set. She would always look up when I wasn't around. It was
wide scream.
Yeah, yes, it's sort of a method. Method acting, method directing, it's kind of...
Did you mean that there are people who will pay to let a snake bite, can be paid to... All bites were accidental, were they?
All bites, yeah. Our assistant director had a very severe bite on his hand by a python who wouldn't let go. They had to actually walk over and give a little flick on the snake's tail, and the shock wave went up to the snake's head, and then he decided to let go.
Is that what you do if a python bites you?
You give him a little
flick on the tail?
Little gentle flick on the table. But the English, the British, are so amazing. I mean, they endure so many things, and David Tomlin, who was bitten by the snake, just walked around the stage saying, "Help, please, help, help, please. So, can't get this bleeding thing off me." You know,
yes,
it was like that, and it was amazing. I mean, what they survived.
Yeah. Can't help noticing I'm about to die.
Yeah, right.
They're so polite sometimes, it's irritating.
So polite, so polite. It was great working in England. It's a wonderful place to make movies.
Is it? More so than here?
No, it's sort of the same here, but it was a new experience for me because there's just a gentleman. It's like when you shoot skeet or trap. It's so much better shooting European trap than American trap, and it's that way in making movies. There's just something classy about it. They dress in sport.